Hi everybody, welcome to my channel. Well, a few weeks back somebody asked me a question about the Leica, the Lumix Leica, Pana Leica, 25mm f1.4 lens, which was, which of course is 50mm equivalent field of view on a micro four thirds camera like this G95. So I have this Leica 25mm here, the G95. They asked me about chromatic aberration. And you may recall that I did a video where I compared this lens to the regular Lumix 25mm f1.7. And I did say in that video that this seemed to have a bit more chromatic aberration than the Lumix lens. However, this lens wide open is sharper than the Lumix is wide open, and you have to stop the Lumix down like 2/3 to a full stop to get it to be sharp. I decided to sell that Lumix lens and hang on to the Leica and hang on to the Leica, but I didn't really use it that much, so I couldn't really answer the question about chromatic aberration. So what I decided to do is last week, Thursday night, went over to neighboring Oak Park, Illinois, and I decided to just go one camera, one lens, the G95 and the Leica 25mm f1.4. And I should preface this by saying the reason I went over there is during the summers on Thursday nights, Oak Park closes off Marion Street in downtown Oak Park. They close it completely off. They set up tables. And the local restaurants, you can buy ticket books that have tickets for various foods at all the local restaurants. So you can go grab food, come back, get a table, and they have band. So that night was a couple of jazz bands. These things are usually well attended, and you can grab a lot of photographs. And because I am a photojournalist for the local newspaper group, people know me, so not a big deal. So I went over there to grab some photos. Bonus was Beth had a meeting downtown and was going to be getting off the train in Oak Park, so we met up and grabbed some food using a ticket book. First thing I did was actually take a shot there that I could check chromatic aberration. And it was in the evening. I was walking through a park on my way to Marion Street, and I grabbed this shot with, bright sky behind tree branches, which generally you're going to find chromatic aberration if a lens does that. And yeah, there is some. This is the shot. If you zoom in right on the middle in those tree branches, you'll see some purple fringing. However, it's not that hard to fix. So, just using the defringe tool in Lightroom, you can fix that. So here it is fixed, not a problem. And in general, it's not that bad. So, not that I've noticed. Now there's of course copy variation. So maybe some people have copies that have that as a bigger problem than this one does. But then I got to Marion Street and just walked around and grabbed photographs. Saw people I know, so I did some quick street portraits, including the mayor of Oak Park with her granddaughter, and a couple of other people that I know, and just had a good time just using this one lens. Kind of reminded me of when I got my first SLR when I graduated from college, and back then, late 1970s, cameras came with a 50mm normal lens as the kit lens. Almost all of them did. Zoom lenses were not a big thing back then. So I grabbed all these shots and I've put together a slideshow just to give people an idea of what you can do with this lens. This is probably a little tighter than I would normally want to use, I guess, but it does give you the opportunity to not get as close as you might have to with say a 35mm equivalent lens, and get really nice photographs. And a lot of the full frame folks will knock micro four thirds because they say, oh, you can't get shallow depth of field. Well, yeah, with a lens like this, you can, and actually, I think you get just about the right amount. So generally when I was shooting, it was getting fairly dim. And aperture wise, I was shooting anywhere from like around f2.2 to wide open at f1.4. And I kind of like the fact that there's a fair amount of sharpness before things go soft in the background. Doesn't really bother me in the slightest. So, and I just remember back when I was shooting full frame that a lot of the time I wanted more in focus than I could get with whatever lens I was using. So there's really not that big of an issue here. So I put together this slideshow. Here you go, and then I'll be back with a follow-up. Thursday night out, Oak Park, Illinois. Summer's coming to an end, and actually, very interestingly, it's been like fall here, temperature-wise. Very strange. Generally, August is hot all the way through to September. So, for some reason, we got this bubble of cold air here that's keeping things very pleasant. And it didn't come with any Canadian wildfire smoke, so that's cool. But just to wrap things up here, I see no issues with this lens as far as chromatic aberration is concerned. Any that you get, you can fix with the defrench tool in Lightroom. And for street photography, it is a great lens. I would probably pair it with something wider just in case you want to go wider. But if you're just, if you're a 50 millimeter equivalent person, I think you probably like it for street photography and plenty of other things as well. I've actually, the times that I have used this lens, I've actually used it for my photojournalism. In the instances that I do, I have to shoot portraits from time to time. If they're doing a story about an individual, I'll have to go shoot a portrait. And the last one that I did, I actually used the Leica, however, on my G9 Mark II rather than the G95, and posed the person, did an outdoor portrait, kept it at around f2.2 8 maybe a little wider than that. And it gave a very nice portrait with softness in the background. But you could still see what was in the background, which was kind of important in this case. So, yeah. Hey, any questions, comments, observations, if you have this lens, hey, pop them down below. That's a big help to me. If this was interesting or useful to you, hey, hit the like button. If this was interesting or useful to you, hey, hit the like button. That's a big help to me. And also, I have a Buy Me a Coffee link down in the description, so that would be greatly appreciated as well. I'm Todd Banner. I will see you next time.